over. Thank you for listening, listeners. We're doing a backwards podcast. Okay, we'll do it for real. This is Lisa Russick.
Donna Murphy.
With a podcast. We're all psychic. And Donna, do you think we're all psychic still?
Yeah, I still think we're all psychic.
I do.
With as many different permutations and definitions of that word floating around out there. Yes.
Whatever it may be, we believe it.
Yeah.
We had our last guest define it for us pretty well. Listeners and watchers, this is a video podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And we did have a guest named Mark coming, but he didn't show up. He might just pop in, and if he does, it'll be an entirely new podcast.
Exactly.
We had arranged it and rescheduled it for today, and we never heard back from him for sure. We did hear back on the day we rescheduled, and I used one of his songs in the advertising for this podcast on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I will have to reschedule because he's got really good music, guys. Or he has very good music. Anyway, and he's fascinating. He thinks that we should all think like a proton.
Yes, which I love. I love the concept.
He said that in his letter to us, listeners and watchers, that he has a song called Think Like a Proton. So I like that.
Yeah.
So today, listeners and watchers, we just kind of sitting here like, we didn't feel like doing a podcast, right, Donna? Not much. We did want to do one, but we didn't have a topic.
Wanting to do one with the guests that we were anticipating. I was, pretty pumped for, but that
was. It happens though. It happens.
Yeah. Hey, stuff happens all the time.
A lot on this podcast.
But anyway, so then we just started talking because that's what we do. And then we decided that maybe we'd start talking and see if we had a podcast that was something we could do some exploring of. And then if it works out really well, then you guys will see it. And if it really doesn't work out well, then you never will. But
and only, I guess, right now, I predict we will. I predict that. We'll see if it happens. Do you predict we will or won't, Donna?
I predict we will.
I predict it too. We'll see. Yeah. We can't both be wrong.
Right. So we got on the topic of love.
Yes.
Because that's something that as readers, as psychics, as tarot reader, whatever, energy, whatever, love, romantic love in particular.
Yes.
Is probably, again, it's kind of it's one of the big three, right? That's what people want to know about because that's what's important. It's one of the things that's important in life, arguably most important.
The big three. I think love, career, and what else is the other?
Well, career, and I tie kind of career and money together because for most people, that's going to be.
Me too. That's what I was wondering.
That's going to be joined. And then I would say kind of. I would say health, but to me, health is a very broad thing. And it isn't just a question of, am I physically healthy? I think it's kind of, again, it could be our self-actualization process, our self-development, could be our mental health, could be our physical health. I kind of, again, broadly as a category, kind of lump all those together.
It's kind of wellness, your wellness.
Yeah, wellness, exactly.
That's kind of like the general reading. If they ask for a general reading, it's kind of what's going on. Yeah. Everything.
And those are going to be the areas. I mean, and love, I would say, although the focus is often on romantic love, any relationship where there's an emotional tie, so whether that's family or, children or friendships or whatever, I mean, again, those all do tie together.
Yeah, as a psychic reader, I don't get anyone calling me going, I hate this person, help me. They're never like, I gotta hate on this person. How can I hate more? It's like always about this intense, crazy feeling of love, like romance love. Romantic. Yeah. And I think it's a lifetime to figure that out, really. You've been married twice. I've been married twice. And we're both single. And this is very unusual for the rest of the history that we know of, as we know it. Women are always married by this time or they're widowed, or, in past.
Yeah, often that's the case. And Lisa brought up a good point when we were kind of talking and kind of getting onto this subject or onto this topic. And often, especially in readings, what you find is that there's a sense almost of, and you use the word, and I think it's a good word considering, which is almost a sense of desperation for connection with one particular person, whether or not that's working out. And typically, if people are calling us, it's because something's not working out.
Right.
But there's a desperation there. There's a real,
something about it, that person.
Yeah.
as the client, just like, I need somebody to talk to me about this and make me understand why I can't stop thinking. And I think there really is a reason they can't stop obsessing or missing, or there is a spiritual reason at the root, I think, and it's personal to you. Right.
And I think, and the thing is, I think there are probably several things it could be. One of the things that I am coming to realize more and more is that whatever form it's taking, and yes, I know, especially right now, it's kind of out there in the zeitgeist. It's become very much a topic of interest, which is the whole idea of twin flames. For a while, it was soulmates. Now people seem to have moved on from soulmates to twin flames. And what's the difference? And what does it really mean? And, so that's a whole other thing. And we've actually had a guest on that talked
we've talked about that a lot recently. We had
very deeply and very,
that was great.
Very deeply and very honestly about a twin flame relationship. But I think the thing is, and what I'm finding more and more is that just like we all carry certain wounds with us, right?
Yeah.
And I don't care how well loved you were as a child, how secure you were as a child, how good of a parent, good of a job your parents did, or parent or caregivers gave you. There are still going to be things that aren't right. There are still things, and that's not anybody's fault, and
it
that's
could be
not
the child's perception. Miscommunication.
Exactly. It could be something that was very innocently said or innocently done, or not said or not done, and there was no ill intent behind it, and there was no lack of love. But then there's a perceived missing piece.
Yes,
so
I think that's right.
When I feel from a client that their connection with this other person and this deep need for this other person's love, acceptance, presence, whatever it might be, because I truly believe that if you truly love somebody, then you truly love them and you're always going to love them. I mean,
I think that too.
My first thing, kind of rule number one, if you will, if it is such a thing as a rule, thought number one is love. If it's love, is actually unconditional.
It is.
Relationships, however, are not unconditional.
Yeah.
Relationships are not.
They're hard. They're messy.
Because you can love somebody well, but
you
can love somebody. You can love somebody and you can love them your whole life. You can love them over lifetimes.
You can.
That does not mean that you will be able to successfully have a healthy, loving relationship with that person in any given lifetime or at any given time.
Well, you bring this up, and I've told you, and I've told a few other people, and over the last year, when I about this, listeners and watchers, I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but I had a secret all my life since I was 14. I was in love with the same man since I was 14 until about 3 months ago. That's a freaking hard thing. And, over the years, I didn't see him or talk to him. And I told him last summer, I think, and we're friends. That's about it. We know nothing happened. And actually, just about 3 or 4 months ago, I think it was around Christmas, something happened. I don't know what happened. I don't think any specific thing happened. I just realized that, I don't physically feel that way anymore, or something's different. And I realized that what I was doing, and I've referenced this situation in podcasts, but not by me, I was using my love for him, my first boyfriend, as a shield to not get too close to anyone, because I didn't want to ever hurt again, like he, when he left. So I think that part of my psychology was there. I'm one of those people who would call psychic reader being very desperate. If I were in a situation where, the guy I'm with or in love with is being stupid or crazy, husbands, or because I was always married. And I would call them, and I had good reason, but because they were messing me, I have fun, all that stuff. But the reaction I was having explained everything I needed to know, right? And the defensiveness, the why did he do this? It's all about me. Why is he like that? I can't change it. It's like what I really wanted the psychic reader to hear, and they almost always did, was talk to me and listen to me. Like, talk to me, listen to me more than anything. And the most I ever got out of doing that is just the feeling of I was heard. And a reader sometimes would make me feel like they like you've had plenty of readings where readers when I'm getting a reading, when I have a reader, just like it feels like in the moment they understand me better than anyone on the planet in the reading during the reading, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we forget it. Maybe one of the reasons we forget everything when we're doing a reading. So I did love this man until a few months ago. Nothing. I think I wasn't really in love. I don't think I've ever really been in love is what I'm getting at. Because I mean, I was 14 when I fell in love with my first boyfriend. That was love, but it's not 50-year-old me love. I'm a different person. I'm still the same person, but I've changed a lot. I've evolved a lot. I want different things. He's different. A lot of things are different. And I feel this feeling of freedom. Because I've never gone any time in my life since I was 14 not in love with someone.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
And so it was great. It's a wonderful feeling to not have that shield. It was protecting me for a long time. And I had a good reason to need that protection that I look back.
Understood. Yeah. Understood.
And it's relieving to be like, I can really fall in love now because I don't have the shield in the way, for one thing. Because I put it there, and like it's not scary. I don't. I think a lot of our clients, when they're like desperate and frustrated, they're scared.
Yeah.
What are they scared of? I mean, personally, what I was afraid of, I think, was, why would I hold on to a man that left me and for never even said goodbye? So it's like, I think when they call and from my perspective of being on that end, being the caller and a reader getting calls like that, I think what they're really asking us is to figure out like what that reason that person is there for.
Yeah.
Right? Why are they making me feel this way? Why do I feel this way? That's like at the root of everything. And for me, I did figure out that much about this boyfriend. He liked the guy a lot too. He's really awesome. He's just a great guy, Yeah. But he's really a friend. That's what I've realized. Like, I don't love this person. He's a friend. In love. So I think like processing all that stuff when our clients come to us, eventually they get to a point. I've noticed it anyway. If they call a lot and we work through it until it's resolved, or they get together, or it doesn't work out, or whatever happens, they learn themselves. They find out stuff about themselves that really, really made them happy. Yeah. And it came out of their own mouths. And that's just the part I love the most.
They came to the realization. Right. They came to the realization themselves.
And that's sometimes why we fall in love. We have to learn about ourselves.
And also understand that what I mentioned before about the things that happen to us, especially when we're really, really young, right? When we're little children.
Yeah.
And we are dependent on other people literally for our survival. This is not a criticism, and this is not to say that the feelings of that little child are in error. They're not in error. They're a genuine feeling, but we don't have the context. We don't know. Again, we don't know whether did that person intend to hurt us? In all likelihood, they didn't. Right. So it's not a question of invalidating the feeling. It's understanding from an adult perspective that the perspective of that little child who was completely dependent on whoever that was, basically for their survival. Because what would we do, right, without that person, whether it's our biological parents, whether it's our whoever it is that is charged with our care, right? Yes, they are responsible for us. And at that age, the only thing we know is, are we getting what we need when we need it? Are we safe? Right? Is the world a safe place to be in as a result of having that person around? And if we don't get that for whatever the reason, even if there's, like I say, no ill intent, the feeling that we have, again, this is not to invalidate that feeling or look back, even let's say if I do, my own, look at my own childhood. It's not to look back at that little person and say, your feeling was wrong. No, your feeling wasn't wrong. It was a feeling and it was real. I'm now an adult person, right? So am I the same person? Like you were just saying, yes, in some ways I am, but no, I'm also however many years on of life experience and all kinds of other things, learning and everything else.
And being smushed in the face.
Yeah. So for me, yeah. So for me, and I guess that does kind of lead me to, I'll call it rule number 2. And again, these are not like rules, but rule number 2 is my feeling is when I'm in that state, which I have been, like you described, with this sense of almost desperation or desperate need
for
that other person, right? Yeah. For that other person, whoever the focus of my attention is at that time, the person that's in my life or that I want in my life or whatever, and I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
What I have come to believe is true, and I'm pretty solid on this, is that what we're looking for from them is something that we actually need to be giving ourselves. It doesn't come from them, and it's not going to come from them. And not only is it,
I 10,
and not only is it not going to come from them, it's not going to come from someone else on the outside of us. And again, this could be your soulmate, right. This could be your twin flame, this could be the love of your life, whatever you want to call it. The fact is that other person is still another person, and it is not for them to give it to us. It's for us to give ourselves. And once we've given it to ourselves, remarkably, what will begin to happen is then the external world and the other people in our world, maybe it'll be that specific person, it might not be, but one way or the other, the outside world begins to then reflect back to us what's in us. It's like, then it becomes almost like then it becomes like a mirror. And that's not to take away anyone else's selfhood. They're still their own entity with their own life experience, with their own journey. They have their own soul, their own journey, their own soul contracts, whatever it is. But the fact is, once we're giving it to ourselves, we can actually then change the dynamic of what we're looking for from a partner.
Right. Exactly. Maybe that's what happened to me over Christmas, or that January, December period, whatever happened there. It was just like, I think what I gave myself in your I think you're right. I've never heard it put that way, Donna. And I think you're right. I guess I'm trying to think of what I was looking for that I gave myself at that point. Let me think for a minute. Okay, listeners, I'm going to mute and pause. It's going to take a while. No, but I'm trying to I can figure this out. Let's see. I gave myself time. He never gave me any time. I gave myself stability. Oddly, I was just me taking care of me for time in my life for the last 5 years. But I always had a guy in my life. But this past year, there's been no man, right? No man. That's weird for me at this age. I mean, I was married. You guys know. Well, if you don't know, I was married twice from 28. I was with this guy from 27 or 26. So I basically been was with 2 men, one husband to the next husband from age 26 to 47.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's not much experience now as going out and trying. Dating is not the same, but
that's for sure.
I'm trying to think of what else I might have. I mean, that feels so true to me, and I just can't pin down what else I gave myself except a lot of care. A lot of care.
Well, yeah. And you yourself mentioned the fact that part of what you were holding on to by loving him or being in love with him, distinction, was a protective, right? Yes. It was a way to give yourself protection.
I always felt like
that way, not only that way, I mean, these are your own words, that way, not only could someone else not get in to cause you any hurt, but you had kind of a substitute, even though it was external. Okay. You have a shield, right?
Yes.
So that shield, yes, it does keep other people or things from getting in. At the same time, it does provide you a certain amount of, again, just like a physical shield, if you were,
feel a sense of security.
Yeah, it gives you that sense of security. But then if you realize that you could actually have that without having to have that
love
barrier.
In there.
Yeah. Using it as a barrier.
Is a barrier. Yeah. It was shield.
The more things the more things that you internalize and integrate into your sense of self, the fewer externals or substitutes for those things that
That's
you
so
need.
true.
You don't need you won't need
That's
them.
a good way to put that.
Yeah, you really won't, because
Yeah.
why would you? You already carry
Yeah.
it, right? You already embody it. Once you embody something, and I'm using that term very specifically,
Yeah.
but once you integrate and embody something, then you don't need the external for it
You're right. That's exactly
anymore.
what happens
It's
here
sort
for
of a
me.
placeholder, and then you don't need the placeholder anymore.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get to that secure place.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I put myself into these situations of relationships and marriages where I never felt safe or loved. But that I just didn't know that I was so young. I loved them. And
Yeah.
they told me they loved me, and half the time they did. And that may be the truth.
The only way they know how, or they love us the best way they know how. That does not necessarily mean that it's the way that we recognize and the way that we need.
Yeah.
And they, because of whatever they're carrying around with them or whatever their life experiences have been, that might be the best tool they have in their toolbox. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way they know how. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most well-adjusted or functional way of expressing, how they feel, right?
Yeah. And sometimes people just want it their way. And it's hard to for me at times in relationships, it's not going to be my way ever, or all the time or whenever. Yeah. So it's supposed to be a give and take, a compromise. Mm-hmm. And some people that I've known, and I've been this way, and clients, they want them to do. I have wanted them to do it the way I want them to do it. Right. They're supposed to call when supposed to call now or text in the morning or this. And then people I have been like this, been upset. I'll get a little ticked off now, or not at all matter, one or the other. If it's like a situation where I was expecting a text from a person I'm going out with, for example, like we have a date and they don't show. Oh, that sucks. It's happened to me.
Oh, yeah. And again, behaviors really do. I mean, again, there are standards of behavior. And if someone isn't holding up their end of the bargain, and understand how I'm saying that, I'm not saying the relationship is purely transactional. But the thing is, if I tell you I'm going to call you, or I tell you, I mean, heck, it's not only romantic relationships. I'm your friend. If I said, Lisa, we're going to dinner, I'll be by at 7:00, and it's now 8:00, and you haven't heard from me. Now you're wondering, am I dead? Right?
That's what I was wondering about this guy.
Did I get hit by a bus? Right. Did I get hit by a bus, or did I just flake off? I mean, there are things that we, as far as I'm concerned, as far as behaviorally, that we do as far as give and take in a relationship, because that's when you give your word. And I realize it wasn't a sworn solemn promise, but if you give your word, you say what you mean what you say. And if you say you're going to do something, you do what you said you were going to do.
Or you have a good reason. You're not.
Or you have a good reason why. Yeah.
Or you can just tell them I'm not going to be there. Something.
Or you can say, no, not tonight. I mean, but at least that's up front and there's communication.
Yeah.
That way the behavioral part of it can continue to function in a way that one person isn't feeling off balance or disrespected or ignored or whatever, because that's I'll say it's a social contract. It's more than that, but it really is. It's a way to maintain relationship, because that's what's another word that's loaded. I know, but I'll say it anyway.
I love it.
That's what's fair to both people. That's what's fair to both people.
Yeah.
That flow of communication is what's fair to both people.
It is. If we speak truthfully, if we even know what we're talking about, first of all. Sometimes I don't know my truth about how I feel in a situation right now that came up. I think about it, digest it. Let's say we're dating, Donna, and we go out to eat, and I usually pay for it because I'm the rich one. We're going crazy here. So we're on a date and I usually pay for it, but this time I just don't say anything and I'm not pulling out my purse or anything. What do? You get a little pissed because she always pays, but you don't say anything and you pay it. And maybe you go home, maybe you go home and you sit on that and it just bothers you and bothers you. Why does it bother you so much? Because I didn't do what you wanted me to do the way I always do. Right. Relationships have habits and patterns, just like every person does, is kind of where I'm going with this. And we get expectations of what our lovers or our partners are going to do for us. And it really should be both ways, like you just said, fair.
Right.
And fair is a good word for that, I think. And we've talked about this in other podcasts where it's not always a 50-50
Right.
exchange. It's like switches.
I guess maybe and I guess maybe the word I would prefer to use rather than fair would be balanced, right? There has to be
Balance.
some balance.
Fair
And
balance.
then and then balance shifts,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, sometimes it's 60-40. Actually, sometimes it's 90-10, just
Yeah.
depending on what's going on.
Definitely.
But the fact is it's always kind of in flux, but it's seeking kind of
It
it
is
is
looking
kind of
for it.
seeking, yeah, it's
Yeah.
seeking a level, but there is a balancing, and that's a give and take, and that's a flow.
You know, something else I've noticed is that sometimes this kind of love we have that is very intense or passionate or like obsessive almost, or infatuation even can be like this.
Mm-hmm.
We get more angry at them and hold them more accountable than other people. You
Yeah.
know, get it was just outraged. The feelings are so intense. What is that about?
Yeah.
You think? What do you think we're trying to
Yeah.
learn? It's so hard and so angry. You get so angry or worked up about even if we don't have any conversations with them. You know,
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I think the other thing is very often another element of what happens in relationship is again that idea of reflection, but also a lot of time, but also a lot of times too, whether you look at this as shadow,
Yeah.
another thing. Yeah, I mean, the idea that what triggers you most in another person is something that either you know that you have that. And I know a lot of people will say, and I've done it myself, and say, well, I would never do what that person did. I just will
Yeah.
never do that. That's not who I am. That may be, but the fact is, we're all human. We all have a full range of human behavior that we would be at least theoretically capable of doing. But the fact is, if we even fear that in ourselves, I don't want to be that. And I know that as a human, I could do that. I never would, or I've chosen never to do that because I don't like that, or I think that's wrong, or whatever. But the fact is, that can make it so much more of there's so much more intensity around that then, because when they did it, it's like, oh my God, that's exactly the thing that I hate the most, fear the most, despise the most as far
Yeah.
as my
My
humanity,
own self.
right?
Yeah. I love
My
something.
own in my own self. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you are that. It's not saying I don't like liars because I'm a liar. It isn't that
No, that's what I
simplistic.
was about to get at. It's
But
kind of
it's the
like
idea,
something in
yeah.
the umbrella of it,
It's
you
in
know?
the but it's in the vein of, because I think, again, I have thoughts about lying. I think lying is wrong. I think lying is,
Yeah.
again, unfair to the other person. I think, I have thoughts and I have beliefs about lying and why I think lying's not good. Again, does it make lying good? No. Does it mean I'm a liar? No. But that's going to be a trigger because that's something that carries a lot of weight for me.
It does. Me too. A lot of people have that trust issue. Why do
Right. Right.
we all seem to have that trust issue?
Yeah.
So when I was with the first one that I was in love with forever, I was lying to everyone I was with, right? Because I knew in my heart I thought I was in love with this guy, but
this other person.
I'm never going to be with this person. We're never going to. I didn't want to because we weren't right for each other at that time. Ever, we'd never been right for each other, and I think that's the thing I finally realized. It wasn't him. It was the feeling I had at that age for him that I was in love with. The first time I'd ever felt that way. And the only time, but it was like, it was a year or two period, but I just clung to that feeling because I wanted that, not him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the realization, but the trust.
Yeah, we want that. Yeah, we want how that feels.
Yeah.
And it might not necessarily be that person, or that person might not be the actual person.
But I was, and I
can actually give us
I
that.
hate lying. When men lie to me, it makes me angrier than anything because I had 2 husbands do it to me all the time.
Yeah.
One was cheating and one was yelling at me. It's like,
yeah.
So I feel like, but for me, I was lying to them. Look, I'm being really honest, right? I never thought of it that way, Donna, until you just phrased it. And I was like, I know that. Like you were just, I don't. But in the umbrella, but I really was lying to them and to myself. But I was telling myself, I can't have this guy. I can't just live alone. I don't want to just be alone.
I don't want to be alone my whole life.
I could love these people. I did love them, and I love married. It's just at the same time, I felt like I had this secret. I couldn't ever stop loving this man. That's what it felt like. I didn't feel like I wanted to.
Yeah.
I called him the one who got away, thank God. For years. Yeah.
So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to think about. I think almost always in relationships, there is some piece that most of us are kind of willing and almost too willing to overlook. And that's where's our peace in all this? Where's our piece of this? I don't mean where do we find peace of mind in this, but where's our peace in all this? Where are we in all this?
Yeah.
Because it is much easier to focus on the other person.
It
It's
is.
much
That's
easier to focus on
so
what
true.
is either lacking, what they're not doing and they should be, or we think they should be, what they are doing that they shouldn't be, or we think they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
All of that is all the focus is outward. This is not about blame.
No.
This is not about blame. This isn't turn it around and blame yourself for something. Not what I'm saying.
That's not what you're saying. I didn't take that at all. No.
What I am saying is you do need to look within, because let's face it, there's a common thread in every relationship that you have. That's you.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, even if just one-on-one, okay, you're looking just at this one relationship, you are still an active participant. You are present in the equation. You cannot put all the focus on the other person and expect to come to an understanding or come to a way of navigating the relationship in a way that I think ultimately is going to work out. And by work out, I mean, whether you stay together or you don't, you have an active role to play. You're like they always say, we all have to find ourselves, women, men, everybody, whatever. We all have to find our own main character energy, because quite frankly, that's what we need, because that's how we're going to keep going through life. Even if we find the love of our lives, and I've seen people find the love of their lives and be married for 50 plus years, whatever, someday, unless one of them, or unless they both happen to pass at exactly the same time, one day one or the other is going to be left without that partner, right? At least in this lifetime. And so you have to be able to understand that what supersedes all of that, not because you're the most important person in the world and no one else is, but that no matter how important someone else is, you start with you end with you. Everything else that comes in, stays, goes, whatever, is all still a part of your experience, but you're stuck with you.
Yeah, you're stuck with it. That's
kind of you said this.
You said this a few times. Put the mask on yourself first in the airplane. You've said that's what you're saying, kind of. You have to learn. You have to
start. You do have to start with yourself, because otherwise you're not going to be fully present, fully able with other people to be yourself.
I don't want to date someone who wants to make me the star of their life. I don't want that.
Right. I don't want to be the other person's main character.
Yeah,
right.
I don't either.
I don't want to be the other person's main character. I don't want them to be my main character. I want to share my life with them.
Exactly.
And again, whether that's my friends, my family, I don't have children, but I'm sure if I had children, whatever. But we all get to be our own main character. We all kind of have to be our own main character.
Some people embrace it and some people don't. I didn't for a long time. I think in my 40s, mid 30s, I started to, even though there were a lot of things I had blinders for, but right now I feel very main character, as far as for me. Before when I was madly in love with the boyfriend or the husbands, whoever I felt like focusing on. Really, whatever I was projecting, whatever I wanted to think about was usually the man I was in love with at the time. If I was going to daydream or if I was going to go out to eat, I'd think of him first. If I'm going to do this, what does he want? Stuff like that. Now I don't think that way. And I think that's a good thing. I needed that. I needed to get that mindset shifted and stop putting so much expectation on other people. And part of the reason I think I did that in the past was because I had health issues and I needed help all the time all my life.
Right. And that's that's another
for help. I'm needing
and that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. If I need help, can I ask for it? If I need help, can I ask for it? If I do ask for it, will I get it? There's a whole I
didn't get much help from my husbands. At first I did, but long health chronic conditions. Yeah. People, they think you're going to get better and you don't,
right.
You get worse sometimes. So sometimes you do get better and it's great.
Well, sometimes, right. Or sometimes you're at least able to maintain a status quo that's, gives you a quality of life.
Right.
The fact is it's a chronic illness. There's a reason it's called chronic, and that's because it ain't going away.
Right.
That's.
And what sucked is that in both those marriages, I was not properly diagnosed and treated too. So it might've been different. I don't think so. I don't think it would have been any different.
Yeah,
because I've always been able to be independent in my relationships, as far as like I didn't keep my mouth shut, because I thought he wanted me to, or I was never like that. I never played a role for a guy, let's put it that way. I don't think I did anyway. I never feel like I did. And I would say, anyone, listeners, watchers, if you feel like you're playing a role, if you really feel that, I mean, I may have been and I didn't know it, but if you feel like you're doing that, I mean, my advice is you probably want to, I don't know if you want to or not. You're playing the character of the side character for a reason, maybe, but ask yourself why. Why aren't you your main character? I would say is advice.
Yeah.
Just like wrapping this up a little bit. We've been talking for a while, and you know what happened today, guys? We haven't talked about this? Is April 25th, right? 2026, and Uranus just went into Gemini, and I'm a Taurus. Yes. If you follow astrology, you know the fixed signs have been going through it since 2018. And boy. Damn, it has been. Oh. When I started this podcast, listeners, it was 2020, I think. It was 2019. August 6th was the first one I posted. And I had read about this, and I was like, no way. I can't imagine how my life could possibly be different. And it's totally different, guys. And today is it left my sign and went on to Gemini. It's a good thing for me. Yeah. Everybody, I think. Gemini said, listen to us go. Listen to us talking and exchanging these ideas about love that I've never heard of. I've never thought of. Oh, it's great. I love it. I love communication. Gemini, my Venus is in Gemini in astrology. Yeah. So that means I love to talk. And so maybe I'll stop loving talking and we'll have no podcast because Uranus, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, your Venus will stay in Gemini.
You joined as a co-host right around this time, like 6 months ago, and now you're really established in your role. You're seeming to enjoy it more, from my point of view.
Oh, yeah, I've always enjoyed it, but you
seem like excited about them now. Yeah. Like you always were. It's hard to explain. There's a difference now, It's
just different. Yeah, it's different. It's different Evolved. Being a more active part of it rather than being a guest or even a guest host, right? It's just different when you're,
It is, So this is like, a lot of movement coming in as this transition. I think Gemini has, Uranus was dropped back into Uranus. No, that's forward motion, goes forward. I don't know. I think I'm thinking of Neptune going backwards into Pisces. I get them all mixed up when I start talking.
I'm not an astrologer. Some planets are ending a retrograde or are just wrapping up a retrograde. So they'll spend a little more time before they actually then move forward and stay forward for.
That's what I seem to think it went into Gemini
wherever they're going.
I really want to look that up. So I could have sworn that it's already been in Gemini, and then it went back into Taurus, and it sat on that 29 degree for a while, and then today
for a little while. But then I think now it's out for good. I mean,
now Nichelle did tell me on that post where I was advertising for Mark's interview. She did comment, well, not until 8/20.
Okay,
I'm not free yet.
Pretty soon.
She says, now, listeners and watchers, Nichelle is also an Everclear advisor, and she's a regular, and she says that there's supposed to be like a tower moment in the next day or tonight, tomorrow, next days for those people, and the final tower moment is how he puts it. We'll see, guys. I don't know. I think it'd be a good tower for me. I hope if there is one. To me, it'd be like one, like what we're talking about. Just being able to speak freely like this to anyone, like you, Donna. And listeners and watchers, listen. If you watch and listen, thank you. Just being able to speak like this is freedom. And I didn't have this freedom in 2019, 2018. I didn't feel I had this freedom. Gemini has a lot of freedom. Air signs have a lot of freedom. They want freedom. Thoughts and expression. And I feel that way now. I how do I explain? My Mercury is also in Taurus. My Mercury planet. So my communication style was getting erupted too by Uranus, So in a big way. And it changed a lot of how I express myself, in that I feel free to. When I was married to the second husband, I was always even censor myself so he wouldn't trigger and get angry or something. So, and I don't have to do that anymore. It's like, finally, I realize it. It's like, it's all sunken in now. I think that's my tower moment. Like, I'm free.
Well, because then there's an opportunity to take all the experience and then really integrate it. Yeah. And then again, you integrate it, you embody it, and then it really is yours. Yes. You know what I mean? Then it really becomes yours. And and I think at that point, that is kind of the completion of one learning experience, but they're all learning experiences.
I think,
so.
The weirdest thing about falling out of love with the first boyfriend and being empty-headed, basically, for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 4 months. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anybody, even when I wasn't obsessed with him romantically, I would have someone I'd be obsessed with, but he would still be the one I love, that kind of thing is what it felt like. I mean, I would be obsessed with so-and-so. And, my second husband, my first, I love those guys, but I would get that feeling, or I thought, like I said before, like, when I'm going to eat, well, what's he going to want to eat? I don't think that way about anybody right now. And I've never done that as far as I can remember, not put someone before myself in my thoughts. Right. Ever.
And that's a huge
my parents,
change.
And then it was the boyfriend, and then it was the next boyfriend or friend or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking on anyone when I'm just sitting around. I'm thinking about other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not daydreaming about him, or anything. Not daydreaming about that. First time in my whole life, just like not fantasizing about being in love. With anyone. It's like, it's just great. It's a hard thing. That's the most freeing thing of my life, really.
Yeah.
I mean, love is a huge part of our lives. I think it's the most important part of our life, not necessarily romantic love. I think romantic love is like romantic love is an expression of, like, for me, I want it to be, I don't know what it is really, but I want it to be like, I want to find someone who's me, but totally different, and talk all the time and do a lot of fun stuff, have a lot of sex. It's going to be good sex. That's what I want, but I'm not like desperate for it, but I'd love to have it. So I'm inviting you, come to me, love, whenever you are, wherever you are, person, I will let you find me now.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Are you, Donna? You haven't talked about your romantic situations. How are you? Where are you?
Because I don't. Because I don't. But no, I'm very open to the idea of having someone in my life, but I don't feel that I need to have somebody in my life. It's something I would like. It's something I want.
Yes.
But I also, again, it's part of a larger framework of all of the things that I am and all of the things that I'm doing and all of the different ways that I'm using my energy. So it would be a really nice to have, but it's not something that at this point is like kind of front and center for me.
That is such a great way. That's beautiful, because that's how I feel too. And that is such a weird feeling for me.
Well, and I'm actually really, I'm actually really comfortable. I'm actually really comfortable with it. Yeah.
It's a weird thing to be that way for me in person. Yeah. Particularly.
I don't know that it's really weird for me, because I've had periods in my life like this before, but not exactly like this before, because the relationship that I was last in, which is now just over a year, ended, was a 23-year relationship. We weren't married, but it was a 23-year relationship. And so that's just a big chunk of my life that was spent in a certain way with a certain person, and then that's gone.
Yes.
So, it's definitely different, but I'm not saying I haven't grieved it or haven't grieved the loss of it, but it doesn't feel like an empty place.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. It does. Yeah. I mean, I had good times with my second husband. I do grieve that marriage, what I thought I had,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the good times that were there, I don't know if they were real or not. That's a weird thing. But I'm just going to decide that they are. That he felt that too. Why not? Yeah. I'd rather think that way than think that he was scheming and hating me the whole time. It's just probably wasn't true anyway.
That's unlikely to be true. I mean, it is unlikely to be true. I mean, you experienced it. If you know how you felt when you were going through the experience, I think you accept. I mean, I think, yes, you can question and analyze, because
we do that,
perfectly entitled to do so. But why? Because it was a real experience at the time that it happened, and you felt a certain way at the time that it happened, and then for what that is, even if you feel differently now, that still doesn't invalidate what you went through.
Then. I don't know why it matters to me, but it did, and it does if they felt the same way or think they said they did. Yeah. And I think back, and there's certain times with the ex-husband that we did things or saw bands or whatever, were really great times. I think he felt that pretty
Yeah.
I think he felt the same
I think
way.
you can tell too when you're in someone else's energy and they're
Yes.
whatever they're experiencing, to the extent that you ever know fully what another person's experiencing, you can see genuine joy in someone's face, just like you can see genuine sorrow or grief or pain in someone's face.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in that moment, sharing that moment with that person, and you are not mistaken if what you're picking up is a genuine experience of theirs, even if you can't fully grasp or fully experience it exactly the way they are.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You still know that what they're having is an authentic experience also.
That's
it isn't just
the word for it.
Yes. Yeah, it isn't just all fake. Like they're not just like the greatest actor on the planet and they can act out any, any
even narcissists can't do
or whatever.
Yeah.
No, even narcissists aren't that good, and there's some pretty good ones out there, but even they're not that good.
Yeah. And on that note, listeners and watchers, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Everclear,
which is a whole other topic.
If you have a narcissist in your life, we have Everclear.
Yeah.
But we love our sponsor. Everclear is our sponsor. Everclear is an advice app and website. Everclear advice app or Everclear psychic readings or something. It's just called Everclear in the app stores. I think they name the little tag differently sometimes. Yeah. And it's everclear.com. It is a website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am on there as an advisor under the name Lisa Russick.
And I am on there as an advisor named Donna Murphy. So we're easy to find.
We're easy. And she always says yes. And that's all you know. So, and we have many advisors from Everclear on here, like Nisha was talking about, and Jennifer Love that I've referenced. I think they're both Everclear, and Joni Yaya. She's been, I don't know if I think she has one coming up with us. Yeah. We had to reschedule or something. And
but we've had other Everclear advisors as our guests, and there is a broad range. There is a broad range of readers on Everclear, and we hope that you'll choose one of us, but you will find the person that you need and want to be able to talk to and to connect with.
Yeah, it's the best platform in the world. Yeah, I don't know, America. I've not worked anywhere that I've stayed this. That's another thing that I wanted to say over this period of time. Yeah. I applied at Everclear in, I think, November of 2019. Yeah. And I still work here. I've never worked at the same job for longer than 2 years. Yeah. Same place, I mean, I've been a psychic reader for so long, but with a company, because you're always on your own. You're a contractor, but not under an umbrella company or something. Stayed with them. I've never done that. Right. So that's a huge deal to me. And they understand my health issues. Like they don't burn us out, listeners. So wonderful.
Right. Which some platforms, unfortunately, don't necessarily all treat their readers
like healers. Or gentle and fragile.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and again, that would be a whole other episode, but I mean, no, they're wonderful. They are wonderful, wonderful sponsors, and they're a wonderful platform to work for.
They really are. You guys, we love you. Everclear. Yeah. We love you. And we love all you advisors. And come on this podcast if you have not been on and you're watching.
Yes. Come be with us.
Come be with us. And lastly, Donna, do you love our listeners and our watchers?
I actually do. Yes, I do love our listeners and watchers. I think we have the greatest audience in the world.
I think we do
too.
Take
care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Love you. And we will see you very soon.
Peace out, guys. Have a great time. Thank you.
Yep. Bye for now.